Reggie's arrival was very much a surprise.
I was in complete shock.
Every year, 27,000 Aussie families are delivered a precious, premature little miracle.
It's a whole other world in the NICU. It's not something that I think any parent should have to experience.
But miracles aren't easy. 42% of those bubs need extra time in hospital, some staying for up to 14 weeks.
Every day was just spent at the hospital, so I would get there usually between 8 and 10 a.m. for his cares, which basically included giving him a little clean, like a little bed bath, changing his nappy, giving him a feed when he wasn't on the NG tube, and then just hanging out with him, and then back again for the afternoon until usually about 7 o'clock or so. We would come back home for dinner.
For the Lee family, that meant 60 days in hospital, chewing through half of Mum Laura's government-paid parental leave, all before little Reggie even came home.
Worry about finances in terms of, paying your rent, paying your mortgage, dinners, meals, all that kind of stuff.
Australian law currently allows parents to delay the start of their parental leave, but they're not entitled to anything extra.
Because it's a big financial impost, often having a premature baby.
Advocates now calling for the federal government to introduce additional paid parental leave for families whose babies spend at least 2 weeks in hospital after birth, an extra week for every week spent in special care, up to a maximum of 14 weeks.
That additional leave would relieve that strain, that enables us as parents to be able to provide better care and support for our child.
So is it time we step up to support the families of premature and sick babies?
Having a baby is a life-changing event, but when it comes into the world in this fashion, it just makes it that much more of a roller coaster ride. But we're still so fortunate to have him in our lives.
Yeah.
Well, Kylie Pussell is the CEO and co-founder of the Miracle Babies Foundation. Kylie, we heard some examples there, but what is the situation that Australian parents are landing in when they have a premature baby?
Many of these families are forced into having to use their maternity leave much earlier than they expected when they have a premature baby. So add that on to, using up the paid parental leave that they have whilst the baby is in that critical care period is, really placing these vulnerable families already at increased mental health really behind that fair and equal Aussie way of giving everyone a good family time at home together bonding once the baby's discharged.
What's your personal experience been of this?
I've got 3 surviving children, so I spent many months in the neonatal unit with my children born premature, and it was a few years ago, so these schemes weren't available. But working with families for over 18 years, we certainly know, the challenges that they face, not just with mental health, but the financial stress as well. So the more we can support these families in the preventative care, then we can help them better on when they go home with baby.
Kylie, paid parental leave costs Australia around $2 billion a year. Can we afford the extra $36 million providing premature parental leave would cost?
I don't really think we can't. These days we're saving babies as early as 22 and 23 weeks, so the support that these families need is going to continue to increase, not just in the hospital care period, but also as these children develop and the ongoing years through school and, even into adulthood. So I think we have to invest in these families. It's Australia's future.
Is there compassionate leave or perhaps carers leave, sick leave that these parents can currently use that can cover these families? Because what sort of boss is forcing families back to work when their child is still in the hospital?
I think it's such an individual thing as to where people work and, entitlements only go so far per year and, families might use those up for different reasons. And we want every baby to go home from hospital with the same amount of, family time at home that every newborn receives. So we want that additional support provided for these families through that critical care period.
Well, caring for a premature baby has an impact, obviously, beyond those first few weeks or months in hospital. You've had experience with that. Can you talk us through some of that impact?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, not just those early years. You may not be able to put your baby into childcare to allow you to go back to work if their immunity is really low and they're still very vulnerable to a lot of illnesses. So, that puts a lot of pressure on families in those early years. And then when the children hit school, there's a lot of extra support, I guess, that we need in therapy for these children because some of them can have a lot of behavioural challenges, learning difficulties and, and social challenges as well. So there's so much extra support that we need through those primary and high school years as well.
Kylie, thanks for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me.